starting my day enjoying some breakfast in front of the pool at my hotel in Key West, Florida. It's humid and kind of warm out this morning, probably upper 70s, and we'll get to a high temperature of close to 90. Not really out of the ordinary, but it's a different climate than what I'm used to. Anyway, time to head out and check out Key West. First thing I want to mention, I noticed right away the city is overrun by roosters. They're everywhere and they're loud.
Hey guys, it's Emily. Welcome everyone! Today I'm in Key West, Florida, at the southernmost point in the 48 contiguous states. Today I'm going to be looking around to see some interesting things. I'll enjoy some tasty treats and ask permission to see it all. It's going to be a humid and tropical day. Let's go!
I'll be walking a lot during my time here. My first destination is only about 3 or 4 blocks away from my hotel, and it is still early, so I want to visit this destination before the crowds arrive. My first stop is the famous buoy marking the spot at the southernmost point of the continental United States. It has a fresh coat of paint which was needed after Hurricane Ian arrived in late September 2022. From this spot, it's only 90 nautical miles to Cuba. You can't see Cuba from here because of the curvature of the Earth. These markers note this buoy was dedicated in 1983 and memorializes the thousands of Cubans that lost their lives looking for freedom and justice in this great melting pot of America, the leader in democracy. 2 months ago, I visited the southernmost point in the entire country on Hawaii's Big Island. The ocean there was very rough, but here the Atlantic Ocean is quite a bit more docile. This is a cool photo op also. Technically, the southernmost point in the lower 48 is 9 miles south of here at Ballast Key, but that's no longer open to the public. Here's a statue of Bishop Albert Key. Back in the 1950s, Bishop Key was known for blowing a conch shell as a way of welcoming guests to Key West. He was considered the ambassador of Key West, and according to this marker, he welcomed about 11 million visitors. The statue was sculpted in 2014. Here's a family of chickens not far from the buoys. I told you, they're all over. And here's another family of chickens. Maybe it's a hen with her babies. It's cute to see the hen nudge her little babies along. This buoy will get very busy later in the day. Everybody loves to get their picture taken here and post them on Instagram, which of course I did as well. So let's walk to some other places in the city. This is Duval Street, probably the most famous thoroughfare in Key West. Even though it's only 1.25 miles long, it's called the longest street in the world because it starts here at the Atlantic Ocean and will go all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, passing by many legendary churches, bars, and restaurants. Over here is the Eduardo H. Gato house, built in 1894 and is on the National Register of Historic Places. Gato attempted a Cuban revolution in the 1860s and 1970s, but it failed, and he and thousands of others had to flee to Key West. Gato then started a cigar-making empire and helped make Key West become the wealthiest city in Florida near the turn of the 20th century. This house was used as a school for a couple of years and also was a hospital. So this house is definitely a part of Key West history. Check out this giant lizard. It's not an iguana, although this lizard is really big. The poor thing lost its tail. Just a stub where the whole tail used to be. Poor thing. Now at the corner of Louisa and Calais Street is the next roadside attraction. You can see it in the small park, this giant Cuban cigar. This is a good segue from the Gato house we just saw, And it also makes sense this micro park is named for the former neighborhood known as Gato Village. And here's the giant Cuban cigar. It might be the world's largest cigar sculpture. It's 12 feet tall and features the smoke coming out of the top of the cigar. The cigar is sponsored by the Fuente family and is dedicated to Arturo Fuente Sr. He lived in Gato Village and worked at the E.H. Gato Cigar Factory from 1906 to 1912. The Gato Cigar Company was significant not only to the economy of Key West in the 1890s, it also was one of the first integrated workplaces in America, where Cuban, Black, White, and Bohemian people worked along side by side and their children attend the same school. This is a recreation of one of the cottages in Gato Village, which was also known as Gatoville. The neighborhood had 40 of these small cottages. This couple are Fernando and Serafina Gato. Eduardo Gato built these cottages to attract skilled labor. In the 1880s and 1890s, both cigar producing labor and housing were hard to come by. According to this marker, the cottages were simple two-room buildings, just large enough to house a small family. In this case, the original cottage also housed Fernando's daughter Mary and Mary's husband Joe. Fernando Gato's granddaughter and her husband created the facade of the front of the cottage and donated it to Key West. Alright, let's head to my next stop. I'm heading to the corner of United and White Streets, where Key West City Hall is located. There's a sculpture directly in front of the building. There's a loud rooster right over there by the entrance ramp. Here's a sculpture of a very large and very ferocious tiger. I was getting my picture in front of the tiger and I think something flew in my eye. This is the Fighting Tiger mascot from the former all-black Frederick Douglass High School. The mascot was retained when the high school integrated with Key West High School. When Key West High School was relocated to another building, this building was renovated and became the City Hall for Key West. The mascot remained here. This marker notes that Key West City Hall was built in 1923 as the original Monroe County High School. In 2014, the school relocated and became the new City Hall. Only the interior was demolished and the exterior was preserved. And here's the front exterior of the Key West City Hall, which is officially known as Josephine Parker City Hall at historic Glenn B. Archer School. This edifice is considered a treasured icon and is landscaped with local plant species. The rooster has been screaming constantly, but of course since I'm next to him, the rooster is not quiet. Time to head to my next stop. Now on US 1, which at this point is also North Roosevelt Boulevard, and is close to the Gulf of Mexico side of the island. I'm at First State Bank, where facing the road is the sculpture of a larger-than-life-size manatee. This is locally called the Florida Keys' largest manatee. The statue is 8 feet tall and looks to be about twice the size of a typical manatee, which is 9 to 12 feet in length. They use their small flippers to slowly walk on the seafloor and also swim in quick bursts of up to 20 miles per hour. Manatees are also sometimes called sea cows. They're very friendly creatures and mostly herbivores. The statue does a great job with incorporating the large number of whiskers a manatee typically has. Manatees use their whiskers as a sixth sense to detect water currents and nearby animals. Unfortunately, the major cause of death in manatees is accidents with watercrafts, including boats, barges, floodgates, and navigation locks. The statue was installed in the year 2000, so if you happen to drive by First State Bank, take a couple photos with this beautiful manatee sculpture. My next stop is at a historic Key West cemetery. The placard reads, "Herein lies our history." The cemetery lies on the highest point in Key West, which is just 16 feet above sea level. The cemetery spans only 19 acres, but is estimated about 75,000 people are interred here, and there are still about 100 people interred here each year. The cemetery is known for its clever headstones. For example, here's the final resting place of Patrick M. Stickney, who died at just 32 years of age. His epitaph reads, "Don't grieve for me, for now I'm free." There are many more interesting grave markers in this cemetery, so I'll take a look at just a few of them. This marker mentions Key West Cemetery was founded in 1847 after a hurricane the previous year destroyed the previous Oceanside Cemetery. The cemetery is divided into numerous sections for Catholic, Jewish, and Cuban refugees, and holds people from all races and income levels. Many of the interred are placed above ground, and I also noticed some are stacked atop others. I haven't seen that before, but I guess you have to since there's not much space here. Look at this grave marker. There's a guy that looks like he's fishing, but instead of bait at the end of the line, there are some white roses. There are many historical figures and interesting personalities laid to rest here. I wish I had more time and did some more research, but I will be seeing some interesting grave sites here. Some of these graves are undercover with a rusted metal roof, some with shingles. Many historic Key West homes have metal roofing to prevent fires. I do wish I had done some more research because it's very difficult to find grave markers simply by looking at written directions on Roadside America. And I'm probably walking right by some of the Key West personalities and don't know it. Now going into this gated section, there are a number of grave sites in here, with the centerpiece being this sailor holding an oar. This section holds many veterans of the Spanish-American War, and also 24 soldiers from the action which possibly started that war, the explosion of the USS Maine in the Havana Harbor. In 1898, the USS Maine was sent to protect American interests during the Cuban War of Independence. A month later, the ship exploded. 260 servicemen lost their lives. While it resulted in a declaration of war with Spain, the actual cause of the sinking was due to artillery in the forward section of the ship that spontaneously exploded. You can read about the many conspiracy theories pushed by both the US and Spain at the time. This is a very nice memorial to those sailors that lost their lives in service for their country. The cemetery is also home to many of these giant iguanas. What's creepy is these iguanas go into holes in the cemetery ground. That's just ew. Many people believe the cemetery is haunted. The most common ghost sighting involves a woman from the Bahamas who sits on random graves. Another small section in this cemetery is this one, dedicated to those who lost their lives in the 1868 Cuban Revolution. There's another one of those creepy iguanas. I guess he's coming out to get some sun. There are some other notable grave sites I'm here to see. As you can see, it's very difficult to find any gravesite here unless you really know the precise directions. Here's an interesting grave marker shaped like a tree stump with flowers at its base. This is for 2 members of the Allen family. Here's another grave marker that's actually as said, made to look like it's made from two tree stumps and a plank of wood. This is an interesting structure. It looks like a small mausoleum that is completely made of brick and probably holds a family of people laid to rest. On the flip side, some of the grave markers are caved in or crumbling like this one. I'm still looking for 2 more grave markers. Here it is, a grave from 1966. This is called the Grave of the Bound Woman. But here's why this is really strange. The gravesite belongs to a 55-year-old man. Nobody knows why Archibald John Sheldon Yates would choose to have his headstone installed here. It's a nude woman looking upward with her hands bound behind her back. Not only that, there are 2 more smaller statues, also nude, and have a planter in front of them. It said that Yates was adamant about having this presentation for his grave marker, but no one knows why. So people think the woman represents Yates' wife, Magdalena. However, his wife never confirmed that, nor explained why he wanted his grave decorated like this. I really don't understand this. It's way beyond odd. Here's the grave marker of Norm Taylor, also known as famed local artist Captain Outrageous. He's a beloved personality in Key West, and many show their appreciation by leaving beads. The final grave marker I'm here to see is this one, in the shape of a conch shell. I repeat, it's in the shape of a conch shell. This is the final resting place of Sir Peter Anderson, who was the, quote, Secretary General of the Conch Republic. He was another colorful character in Key West history, and his epitaph simply reads, "He had fun." There's even a Conch Republic flag here. Well, I had a little fun here also, but now it's time to see a long-time resident of Key West. That long-time resident is here at the East Martello Museum. Originally constructed in 1862 to protect nearby Fort Zachary Taylor from the Confederacy during the Civil War, today it's an interesting museum showing the history of Key West. This marker mentions Fort East Martello was one of the 3 Civil War forts in Key West to secure free entry through the waterways around Key West. No shots were fired from this fort. The main attraction for this fort is Robert the Doll. Robert is said to be a haunted doll who demands the proper respect, and I will certainly comply. I just paid my admission, which as of the recording of this video was $17 for adults, and $9 for those aged 7 to 18. This red sign mentions Key West was Florida's 2nd largest city during the Civil War. I would never have thought that. There are lots of artifacts from the Civil War here, like this old cannon. I've been to a few forts around the southeastern United States that were built around the Civil War. They have the cannons ready to roll into position when needed. If you're interested in history, particularly Civil War or Florida history, you'll definitely enjoy this museum. Down here is an old pirate chest, which may have contained gold and silver from the Spanish warship. Look at this old canoe. It was carved up by the Tequesta and Calusa Native American tribes. The slide also mentions they salvaged shipwrecks as Europeans settled in the Caribbean. Here's another display with some artifacts. This is either a piano or an organ. To be honest, I'm not sure. Lots of items from 150 years ago are here. And over here is a rickshaw, used for a single person to pull some heavy items. This exhibit shows artifacts from the Covenant of Mary the Immaculate. This convent was founded in 1868 and formed the oldest school in South Florida. Here's a small exhibit for the Key West Cemetery. I just showed you some of the interesting history of the cemetery. Hopefully when I come back I'll find some more gravesites, including this one, where a 53-year-old Count von Kozel fell in love with a sick 22-year-old woman named Elena. Elena died months later and was buried in Key West Cemetery, but von Kozel later exhumed her body and lived with her for several years before the authorities discovered what had happened. This exhibit discusses the cigar factories in Key West. I mentioned earlier about the Gato family starting a cigar-making empire in Key West, making the city one of the wealthiest in the United States. There are lots of interesting artifacts from how they made cigars around the turn of the 20th century. This is neat. All the desks and tables where the workers roll the cigars. And apparently people would walk by the cigar factories and watch people roll the cigars. And there's a picture of the workers rolling cigars. Next to that is a cigar store Indian. This was pretty much the internet of 125 years ago, Western Union. They handled messaging at this time, and then later they handled money transfers, kind of like Zelle or Venmo do today. This is what a bustling Key West street looked like in the 1880s. This looks like it might be where Duval Street ends at Mallory Square. I'm not sure. It doesn't look all that different except for the cars today. I've never heard of this. This describes the sponging industry. It started when fishermen discovered sponges that washed ashore after a storm. At the time, these sponges made bathing and applying cosmetics much easier. The fishermen discovered how to hook the sponges and pull them out of shallow water. Key West enjoyed a near monopoly on selling sponges until the 1940s, when a red tide killed almost all the sponge beds. Not long after, synthetic sponges, which we all use today, took over and eliminated the sponging industry in Key West. Here's an exhibit for transportation to and from Key West. Before Henry Flagler built the railroad into Key West, the only ways to get here were by a slow boat or a fast airplane. Now this is a piano, or is this a harpsichord? Also, there's an accordion atop the right side of the piano. This is a small replica of the Key West trolley, financed by Eduardo Gato. The trolley cars were in service until 1926, and this is interesting. They burned all the trolley cars when the entire trolley system went out of business. I mentioned earlier in the video about attempts to gain the independence of Cuba and freedom-seeking refugees in the 1880s and 1890s. Jose Marti was a Cuban exile and to this day is considered a hero for his role in achieving Cuban liberation from Spain. He died during the Battle of Dos Rios in 1895. Over here is a raft used by Cuban refugees to make their way from Cuba to Key West. The trip was very perilous as the ocean waters were very rough. This article mentions the raft was found empty but contained the IDs of people that were on the raft. I'm not sure if this is that raft. Now it's time to see Robert the doll. The doll was given to Robert Eugene Otto in 1903. Gene kept the doll until his death in 1974. The doll is said to be haunted. One rule is that I must ask Robert the doll's permission to see him and to take pictures. It says right there on the wall, and I will gladly comply since I don't want any bad luck.
Hey Robert, can I come visit you?
Robert the Doll is another colorful personality in Key West. On his 101st birthday, President George W. Bush sent Robert the Doll a letter to send his and Laura Bush's best wishes. I think the president wanted to be in Robert the Doll's good graces. This room has special air conditioning and lighting, and is surrounded by special UV filtering glass to prevent further deterioration of the doll. Robert the Doll and his puppy are now 120 years old. As a child and as an adult, when Robert Otto, the person, got in trouble, he would always blame Robert the Doll. The doll was placed at the window, and people that walked by believed that Robert the Doll's facial expressions would change. Others heard footsteps in the room where Robert the Doll was, even though no person was in the room. Governor Jeb Bush also sent Robert the Doll a happy birthday letter as well. So the governor wanted to be in Robert the Doll's good graces also. After Robert Otto and his wife died in the 1970s, their house and the doll were sold to Myrtle Reuter, who owned them for 20 years. When Reuter sold the house, the doll was donated to this museum. Robert the Doll has been a popular tourist attraction ever since. Legend also has it that Robert the Doll can make giggling sounds, and it can also move figurines around the room. Many people believe that by not giving the doll proper respect, it has caused car accidents, broken bones, job loss, divorce, and other forms of bad luck. In addition, people who visit Robert and do not show the proper respect have reported post-visit misfortunes. The doll was manufactured by toy maker the Steiff Company, the same company that first created the teddy bear in honor of President Theodore Roosevelt. It's likely the doll was created as part of a window display of clowns and jesters. The sailor outfit might have been an outfit that Robert Otto, the boy, wore when he was a child. Now it's time to let someone else enjoy Robert's company after showing him one more form of respect. Thanks, Robert! I thought it best to thank him for allowing me to spend time with him and take several minutes of video and numerous pictures of him. Now onto this exhibit for the sunken USS Maine. We just saw the section in the Key West Cemetery where some of the soldiers are laid to rest near that sculpture of a sailor holding an oar. Now outside, and it's very hot out with the heat radiating off the bricks and no wind circulation. There's plenty of humidity though. Oh boy, what a fun one. Anyway, here's an interesting cannon that's kind of decorated like a golden shark. I'm not sure if that's a shark head or a turtle head. The teeth are rounded, not sharp at all. This cannon is in the middle of a garden area that looks really nice. Here's a side shot of the cannon. If you know why this cannon is decorated like this, please leave me a comment. This garden has a number of small sculptures and many types of plants and trees along the short paved path. Looks like all the trees have little signs on them to identify what species they are. This marker discusses Fort Taylor, which was an ancient fort from the Conch Republic. That fort was essential for transport of goods from the western shores of Florida to locations along the Atlantic Ocean. Now walking back on the way we came on the short path, taking another look at some of the sculptures. In front of us are two thin metal sculptures. They look about 15 feet high. We're going into a 3-story building in the center of the fort. through the staircase to a viewing area on the roof. Directly in front of me is the lighthouse.
There's the boat from earlier.
Aside from the capsized boat, take a look at the amazing view of the Atlantic Ocean. There's that capsized boat. I guess whoever operated the boat just decided to abandon it. On the opposite side of the fort is Key West International Airport. It's not a very big airport, and I think the runway is pretty short. The breeze feels so nice up here. I almost hate to leave right now. But I gotta get going, so one last look at the Atlantic Ocean from the roof of this building, then I'll head back to the visitor center. Now inside the visitor center, and that loud noise is some fans circulating cold air. There are a number of small sculptures on display here. These pieces were created by Stanley Papio, also known as Barefoot Stanley. He hardly ever wore shoes because he felt like it was easier to get used to burnt feet than keep buying new shoes. Papio was a skilled welder, but he seemed to think of himself as an unloved artist. Many of these sculptures are thought to be parodies of his neighbors who thought he was a slob. Now I'm exiting through the gift shop. Lots of Robert the Doll merch like pins, coffee mugs, small replica dolls, and keychains.
So we just saw Robert the Doll. Never again. No, that thing's creepy.
I worked up an appetite after seeing those places, so now I'm on to Wall Street at Kermit's, which is a well-known place to get some great key lime pie. When in Key West, eat key lime pie. They have a few varieties of key lime pie. Some are made with strawberries, others are made with coconut. Also in the store, some key lime inspired sauces, jellies, and salsas. Also some salad dressings, and of course the key lime juice to make your own pies. But I'm here to try their original key lime pie. It looks perfect with a thin crust, lots of filling, and a little whipped cream. So what did I think of their regular key lime pie? Here's my verdict.
I feel like it's a little bit... No, never mind. I'm about to say it's a little bit more tart than the regular key lime pie, but... It's pretty much like the key lime pie you would get on the mainland. Really good though.
Look what else I have here. Key lime pie covered in chocolate on a stick. It also sounds delicious. I have to try it.
Chocolate covered key lime pie on a stick. My chocolate key lime pie popsicle. Oh, that sounds cool. Ooh. I don't know if this is like a different formula or something, but like when I first bit into it, a key lime like pie stuff was actually more tart than the other one. So I don't know if like freezing key lime pie makes it more tart, but it's really good. I think this one's better than the other one. I think the chocolate adds like a nice little flavor to it.
The chocolate key lime pie was meant to share with my parents, but I ended up eating the whole thing. Sorry, not sorry. I started busy this week. This is the week between Memorial Day weekend and the Key West Pride Week celebration, and it's not too busy here. Even the hotels are cheaper. I'm heading down to Mallory Square on the Gulf side of Key West. It's getting closer to dinner time. Yeah, I know. I just had key lime pie. I'm eating in reverse. Anyway, we're headed to the Conch Republic Seafood Company and try out some great Key West food. Taking a look at the menu, there's a lot to choose from. Oysters, clams, shrimp, lobster, calamari, all sorts of seafood here. They also have burgers, pasta dishes, chicken sandwiches, also steaks. I'm not a seafood person, but there are plenty of choices for me. But I will be trying the conch fritters, which is a delicacy in Key West. It's chopped up conch meat, mixed in a batter, and deep fried like hush puppies. I thought they might give us a dozen conch fritters, but the appetizer only comes with 8. There's this key lime mustard, which looks interesting, but I wonder how the tartness of the key lime will work with the fritters. But first I'm going to try one by itself to see what it tastes like. I've never had a conch fritter before.
I don't really know what it's supposed to taste like. I've never had conch. I know you never had conch. What does it taste like? Salt. It literally only tastes like salt.
I didn't taste much conch, mostly salty batter. I'm going to try the key lime mustard.
Key lime mustard kind of just tastes like I shoved a whole lime in my mouth. It's I don't know. It needs more conch in it. There's like only like 5 bits.
So I didn't really enjoy the conch fritters, and the key lime mustard was very tart and overpowering. My dad really enjoyed the key lime mustard though. I can't tell the difference between their conch fritters and a hush puppy. They brought out our dinners. My mama got the appetizer portion of coconut shrimp. There are 5 medium-sized shrimp, and she got a side of mashed potatoes. My daughter got the blackened shrimp on key lime garlic cream sauce, with sides of yellow saffron rice and mixed vegetables. Wow, Gato went healthy. He also kept the key lime mustard in case he wanted to dip the shrimp in it. I'm not big on seafood, so I went for the standard cheeseburger and fries. The burger patty was definitely not the 10 ounces that the menu said it was. Nothing special about what I got, nothing Key Westy. So I ate about half my burger. It was okay, but the patty was pretty dry. I didn't touch the fries at all. Everything was really bland, not even close to being worth 16 bucks. I'll be honest, the meal was very disappointing. The portion sizes were smaller and they tasted bland. Everything was overpriced, even by Key West standards, and on top of that, they added a 3% surcharge because we use a credit card. Many of the recent Yelp reviews agree, which I did not read before going to the restaurant, so that's a lesson learned. Also, chickens and roosters, as well as pigeons, walk through the restaurant. Isn't that unsanitary? Another disappointment was the free dual loop bus service. There were 2 buses and they both decided to stop running from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. So we walked a mile back to the hotel. It's not a long distance, but my dad had injured his foot a couple days earlier and he already walked a lot and climbed the stairs of the Robert the Doll Museum today. But he wanted to make sure we had a good Key West experience. As for the bus service, I'll talk about that more in part 2.
And that's it for my first day in Key West. Key West definitely has some interesting history. Not to mention the city has a lot of large iguanas and loud roosters. I'm spending another full day in the southernmost city in the continental US, and you'll see that next time. Thanks for watching, bye!